That sounds like saying, we got this boat, you have to sell it, and we say,
Ano ba yung tayo na yan?
because it's not.
Ano tayo na halaman ng giyo?
That's right, they did, actually, they're selling boats, and taking it.
Ano ba lang? Ano tayo yung giyo pala tayo na dyan?
So, we'll find himself in it.
Who is us up here? Well, perdona se piace, ma vuoi
Not sure.
Brother Keith is asking to ask him who is your superior?
Beg pardon?
Who is your superior?
You mean in the company or in the personal way?
who said it?
Who sent you?
Who sent me?
Right.
I'm happy to say in this case I sent myself. Say this was my idea.
From where, he said?
From where?
New York or Washington?
No, New York. I live in New York. But we got the idea for this in Jamaica.
So where you going to put it before?
Who are you going to put it before?
I'll put it before, well, if we do it in October, when I think we will, we'll put it before 45 million television sets, which usually translates to maybe 82, 83 million people.
When? October?
I would guess the first week in October. It may be before then, but I would guess.
It has to go to a secret court.
I'm sorry, I didn't
It has to
understand.
go to the court of approval.
Didn't he have to pass through some secret court of approval to have
Absolutely not.
permission to come here?
No, I can say to you.
The FBI came one time and they told us that they did. They said they had to call Washington to get an okay to
No,
come here.
no, I didn't have to have anybody's okay
Right.
to come here. I did it on my own.
Well, you people are respected as logical, not radical, not too young, not too old, logical, reasonable. You should be able to have that yourself to detect the right from the wrong.
But that is the saying guilty too.
And I said, you're guilty too.
It may very well be. It may very well be. I wasn't aware that the FBI came and talked to you.
Yes.
They've sat
And
amongst
they
us for hours.
not only
On
came
what
and talked to
basis?
us, they told us that they had some little minor charges from years back that they just wanted to drop and negotiate.
I know.
If you go to court and you don't go to court the second time, they turn it over.
You come to secret if we are gone, man.
So he,
Wanna see
well,
what gun man?
Someone says we are righteous,
two of them
man.
came, and one of them said that he was part of a branch of the FBI who for the last year had been studying this group called the Rastafarians, who they say have a mafia-like organization from Kingston, New York, and Miami, involving the smuggling you were talking about. And they said that after investigating that element for over a year, they were completely confident that they never saw one trace of us or anything to do with us. They know we are a unique set of
Non-violent.
with a doctrine, with a gospel, with a history, with a genealogy.
Were they from the Miami FBI?
Miami
office?
FBI.
That's interesting.
Coptic Road 60.
So they'll talk to you if you want to talk to them. They were over here.
As a matter of fact, that's what I'm talking. And they didn't charge anything. But we're recording now, and I want to pick up where we were and try to bring it round. I just want to do my best to get it clear in everyone's mind what you are and who you are, and what you are not, and who you are not.
Exactly.
You are not about marijuana smuggling.
We are about the sacramental use of God's herb.
You are not about money making.
Money is the tool of the devil. The love of money is the root of all evil. We love the blessing. Within blessing, we found a higher way of thinking than dollars and cents. We found a way of thinking of increase and multiplication that you find in God's living creation. While we're talking, on Coptic farms, cows are being born, goats are being born, eggs are being laid. Man in one field is sowing, man in another field is reaping. So how can you value that in dollars and cents? That's natural value. That's the foundation of Coptic.
If I come back, let me put this another way. I, like you and every other person, I have to live with my conclusions, to live with what I do. 4 or 5 years from now, if I say on this broadcast, right, Brother Love, you are not about marijuana smuggling. 4 or 5 years now, am I going to regret having reported that?
You're going to be known as the brightest star in the media heavens.
If I report...
Anyhow you comprehend the morality of the Coptic Church, which has been tested and proven already, is what the people need to revive their moral consciousness and to come out of the slump and the spiritual slumber that they're bringing upon themselves by what they do every day, by the perverse attitude they have toward life, by the acceptance they have of the things that they know God said don't do. Then you'll understand whether or not this is a moral plus or a moral negative.
If I report, no, Brother Love and his counterparts in the church are not about money making, 4 or 5 years from now, am I going to be seen as a sucker for having accepted that?
4 or 5 years from now, you're very likely to live on an earth where there is no money. Because the consciousness of this generation is higher than smuggling and cops and robbers. The consciousness of this generation is honesty and integrity. A man could never smuggle his own things.
With that, I can agree that the consciousness of this generation is that. The question, however, is your church that? Is that what you stand for?
Our church is a plain declaration of the meaning of the Bible in our life.
Do you consider it a religion?
When you say religion, and if in your mind you include the Pope and Billy Graham and Reverend Ike and Oral Roberts, no. This is a faith. This is a life of living. This is an every minute of every day consciousness. I am the Son of God. I know that. I don't believe that. I'm not waiting for someone to come and tell me different. And not only do I have that consciousness of myself, I know you have that responsibility also.
And it's your belief that I am the Son of God?
Well, of course, who made you? Did God make you or did Satan make you? I say you must either be the Son of God or the son of Satan. And to know where you qualify, look upon your own works. If you lie and cheat and swear and steal and commit adultery, then you're doing the works of Satan. And Satan truly is your father.
Your definition, not mine.
That's the Bible. I didn't make that up.
By your definition, is this a cult?
A cult is a folly, a cult.
Actually, I call it.
Well, what does cult mean to you? And then I can answer that question better.
Well, that's the reason I said your definition. A cult, under my definition, is a group of zealots who are prepared not to accept any other argument except their own.
We represent, the Coptic Church represents 430 years of black Africans in the Western Hemisphere who have worked until they've dropped, and their children have risen up and worked until they've dropped, down to this generation, and they still have not gotten their reward. And you see me coming and hearing this and being brought to this understanding of life and saying, yes, this is true. There has been a great injustice, a great racial injustice done in the earth upon the black people. The time for their redemption is now. But their redemption is not going to come politically. It's not going to come with, it's not going to be determined by who has the most guns. It's going to be determined by who has the blessing. And the one who has the blessing is the one who the people are going to seek after.
So by my definition, you do not consider it a cult, and you
It's
don't
not
consider
a
it a cult
cult.
by your own definition.
It's not a cult, a fanaticism that one man teaches himself and is surrounded by a bunch of zealots. But true, he's basically a hypocrite. He doesn't trust any one of them with the whole thing, so when he gets licked out, the whole thing falls apart.
All right, let's take that as the definition.
Well, Christianity, the death of a Christian is not the end of a Christian. The whole world bears record that they crucified a man named Christ. Yet I tell you that that man is my Redeemer. This day, 1979.
You don't consider it a cult.
I know this is not a cult, and I know that the things the world calls cults are because cults are part of the world.
Right, now, you've been very patient with us, and I appreciate that very much. And we're right near the end. What question have I not asked you that I should have asked you?
Who is man?
Who is man?
And your answer?
Well, you just told me to ask you a question.
No,
I mean, you must answer.
What question have I
I'll
not
go
asked you?
further. The psalmist says, who is man that thou art mindful of him? Who did God make man to be? The servant of commerce? Someone whose life could be affected up or down by a political election? Or someone who was conscious that God gave man dominion over the whole earth? Man is God's highest creation. Man has dominion over every beast, every fish, every fowl. All of the evil that has been done on the earth has been done by man. The birds don't have wars. The birds don't rob one another. The elephants don't kill one another. It's only man who, in his heart, in his fallen nature, has despised the things of God and sought after the things that are leading them to their own destruction. So the question you should ask is, what can the people do to save themselves? And if you don't know who man is, then you have to say, what can the people do? And the answer would be, they have to find the man who can lead them out of their sinful ways. And the only one who has not been listened to in the whole kingdom is the ganja man. The politicians talk and everybody listens. The parson talks and everybody listens. Well, until now, although there are billions of us, no one is considered to seek us for our wisdom, for our understanding, for how we could have a kingdom based on the blessing we've received.
And that basic blessing is ganja.
Basic blessing is life and all his power. The knowledge that we praise God consciously every day, that we are fulfilling that which was written by our lives.
Thank you.
Anytime.
You got enough to do the two-shot?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick two-shot now. I'm just going to move that. Joe,
I
can you
want to
move
say
that
that for
microphone?
you. I wasn't trying to cut you off, but I knew how much film you need. Excuse me. Gene, I think we're ready.
Yes, I think that was great.
All right there, Norm. That's good, mate.
Joe, you've been standing all this time?
Good help. Climb mountains, man.
He did climb mountains, as a matter of fact, Joe.
Yeah.
He's a very tough man. That's very perceptive.
Joe, just a little bit more.
You got the gun down.
Just push it to the mirror.
You ready for your
Just push it
draw
to the mirror.
now? You ready
You
for
should
your
turn all the
split now?
cameras off and take a draw.
Okay, Dan, if you could just talk about sound, right? Without
Not
sound.
taking
Without
sound.
sound. That's good.
Just widen the shot out to get a picture of the idea is to get a picture of mine talking to you.
Right, I
And
understand.
not see.
Okay, I'm rolling down now.
Right.
The,
Anyhow, a man came up to you, who you knew was a thief,
Sorry.
and he told you a bunch of things about a man who you didn't know yet. And some said this and some said that. How much would you rely on what that thief told you?
well, I wouldn't rely on the talk.
Well, and how the
Sorry,
IRS
can you
has proven
just
to be a thief, then
Father Love, can you just be quiet just for 10
I want you to
seconds?
talk, and no matter what I say, regardless how ridiculous, for you to listen to what I want to do.
Okay, I'm rolling now then.
No, point well taken. What I try to be, and what I hope I am on my better days, knowing full well, which takes one of my better days, is to try to perform a role as an honest broker of information. And I'll talk to as many people as I can. Listen, write down what I hear. Go to the primary source. If I know a man to be a thief and he tells me another man is a thief, I mean, I didn't write it down. I just say to myself, well, I'm not interested in that. But I do think, in fact, I strongly believe, when you hear something about someone, my religion are
Thank you, Dan.
information. If it's a charge that gets some currency, that is, whether true or not, becomes widely believed or widely suspected, the responsibility is to go to that person on the receiving end and say, this is what's being said about you. What say you?
are you part of my generation or my father's generation? In your thinking.
I expect the honest answer, and naturally I'd love to say, oh, I'm part of your generation. I expect the honest answer to that is, I have one foot in my father's generation and one foot in your generation.
Do you recognize?
You're about what?
Yeah, what you doing?
35, 36, 36.
We don't need
Do
it,
you
mate.
recognize the wisdom and the blessing that the poor, humble people have received by not being able to afford education and not being able to afford to be swept up in the trends of society?
Well, that I certainly do.
Did you recognize
I've
as
seen
something,
that involved.
something very high, could be very high,
Oh, you can, Mike, are you out?
has remained that way,
As soon as you
it is
leave.
not amalgamated with the perversions. Well, that's what we've discovered.
Well, this is something I think is not widely.
Yeah, I think so.
The media Miami failed. The media Miami made it sound like a cops and robbers.
Well, it's not a cops and robbers.
And the Harrison, 90% heard about us, and 7% said that we were clean. 7%, only 7% said yes. They were given 5 choices, and one of the choices was the first time.
I'm curious about it. It does seem that the whole industry is a breakover. That's not the context in which we're filming. Filming
Remember, our court meetings are
It seems to me before then, what contact you had with the media here was on pretty good grounds.
Well, here's the thing. It was on excellent grounds from the standpoint if I can tolerate their lightness. And they're wanting to take this like a, hey, everybody, today in Miami's Catholic Church, they almost found something like a motto in the city or something.
Probably take two on that.
Frequently, or exactly what it was. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we were at the Zion Catholic Church, which is a marijuana smoking cult over at Star Island. And they go on and talk about whatever happened or whatever we said. And the next time I see them, I say, why are you saying cult? What is cult? This is called some fanaticism. Wasn't Hitler a cult? The head of our guard service. Did you know the Andy Frame people? He came over here and said, if we don't get this thing solved quick, we're going to be digging trenches over here. Because a swell of public resentment rose up because of the accusations. So therefore, we were brought before the court. One day, the messenger from the sheriff's department came and gave us some subpoenas and said, we reported such and such a date. And the charge they had, they didn't come over here to arrest anybody. And their argument is the place is too big. I heard the fence right here, I can just throw this in the They can't say that was mine. So they charged us under a very old statute, a civil zoning statute that says that if you allow marijuana to be used in your house, you are conducting a public nuisance. Your house can be chained and and they couldn't make that stick because as we went to the higher court, the Supreme Court, at their first hearing of it, they issued a certiorari and sent them an order to show cause why we should be granted. So it's gone well. See, I regard that. When we talk about that, I'm interested and I like to hear what you've heard and what you're basing on and how what your questions are. But I also want you to understand that if somebody calls tomorrow and says you lost, it's all over. So it's going to come again. It's not this time, there must be another time. And this is who you're going to see clash with the head of the ganja. A lot of people are hearing through us through media coverage from different things that we're doing to make the people get the connection between smoking consciousness, smoking and cleaning up your act, not going from drinking and keeping up adultery, fornication, and sodomy. Stop the drinking, but still keep up the adultery. No. The drinking is one of the ways of the devil, and so aren't those other vices. So if you're going to stop that and partake of something heavenly, you should stop the other devilish things too.
Have you heard, but she's, you know, she had a personal notice. Someone I talked with in Jamaica was a controversy who was very sympathetic, very sympathetic. And I'm not being coy, but I spoke with him on confidential basis. I intend to keep that confidence. Oh, yeah, he was very sympathetic and honest. Jamaican. Yeah, well, he has some close to that. He raised the question whether sooner or later the danger is going to be as follows. And I had raised it. What he raised was this. The next step
It's very hot in there. If we just do these two shots, we're all finished. Then you can so much time.
By A, first making the public mind of the Christians, equating with the cult as opposed to the church. And two, making it appear that they were at least manipulated by the CIA for political purposes in the Caribbean.
It's common knowledge. Go ahead.
No, well,
It's common knowledge in Jamaica, we did this, that there are many, many poor people in Jamaica who live in the cities and live in the slums, who have no way to get a car and have no way to make any money. And then a politician will come to him and say, hey, listen, if you'll drive me around for the next 3 weeks, I'll give you a car and I'll give you a gun. And when those 3 weeks are over, you can keep the car and keep the gun, and plus I'll give you $300 a week. And they can't overcome that temptation. Because without that, their life is every day you wake up. Do you know what it's like? I'm sure you and I do not really know what it's like to wake up in the morning and have your belly hurt and hear your children cry. And you know that pressure. To know that pressure, you know that every day after day it's pressure just to put something on the table. It's good for your family. Well, black people have endured that for a long time now. Within the black people, many, many, many who put on a red, gold, and green tam or a red, gold, and green belt and wear their hair in dreadlocks and try to say that they're exiled Africans and they have their African rights, they become criminals. They become political henchmen and gunmen. And the propaganda you're talking about, we felt it already by people trying to associate us with them. Because that would become an immediate tarnishment, saying, well, if they're us, then they're involved with crime, they're involved with this and that. But our difference with them is plain. They say Haile Selassie is their leader and their teacher and their inspiration. And we agree that he is a thief, a robber, an idiot, a man who lived in luxury while his people suffered. A gigantic criminal who was responsible for the death and sufferings of millions.
I understand that. What did they say about the CIA? No, sorry.
Excuse me, then we need to do 3 rehearsals that we missed. So we're ready to go. If you could explain to Father Love, he doesn't need to answer. What it is. One is whether you consider the smoking of marijuana necessary to the Coptic Church. The
Set that over. I do want to finish it for the purpose of the picture. Sorry.
The second one, the doubt might be that
Come on, wife.
Number 3, do you consider it a drug? Yes, Brother Love, this is the camera ran out at that point. We have your answer, we just need to repeat those
See the camera.
questions.
As you can see, we're doing this with 2 cameras. There's one behind you, there's one in front of you. And the camera that was taking the photograph of my asking the questions missed these 3 questions. And the ever-efficient Ms. Solomon says that we should re-ask the questions. Not necessary that you answer again, just that I ask the questions. Okay, Gene, and the first was?
Whether you consider the smoking of marijuana necessary to the Coptic Church.
Does that matter that much? Michael, that doesn't really. Okay, Mark? Joe?
You actually said that
Running.
the reason.
Okay. Roll 6, take 2.
Well, the reason for asking that is an attempt to understand, to get it clear, is the smoking of marijuana necessary to becoming a member of the Coptic Zion Church? What are you asking? Because I got the sequence wrong, Jim, sorry. The reason for asking...
Brother Love, could you turn on down this time?
Yes,
your
you're
arm.
right on.
The reason for asking that is to try to get it clear, to clearly understand whether the smoking of marijuana is necessary to being a member of the Coptic Church. But that herb could be parsley.
Do you consider it a drug?
Do you consider it a drug? Do you consider it to be a drug? That'll be among the more awkward
It's
things.
going to do a wide shot now. If you could just...
He wants to do the same thing that his colleague did a moment ago. If you would just talk to me, we're not recording this now. You can talk about anything you like. A wide shot.
I'll have to cut. Why it is that the Cuban elders of Miami recently petitioned a court saying that it was a violation of their human rights to have their children taught sex education in the Dade County Public Schools. And the reason they did that was they said that they don't want to have their son and daughter come home some night and say, "Hey, Mary, where were you?" Well, I was out with little Dan and we were playing sex education. They said they want to have the human right to instill a Christian moral in their children, and they say that sex education, which would adopt things such as abortion, oral sex, and birth control, is contrary to their moral. That they have a human right not to have their children taught that. Now, that's symptomatic to us, that there is a moral fiber of goodness in the people. There are things that the people just